Yeah, we're all good. Oh, happy days. Okay, Olivia, thank you for joining me on Headstrong.
Thank you, Louis, for having me.
How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah? Did you enjoy the weekend of sport?
I mean, it was the ultimate weekend
Yeah.
of sport. Not quite the outcome as I was hoping for in either final. I'll be honest, I was a Djokovic.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a
Oh, you
Djokovic
got
fan.
served, if you pardon the pun.
He did, but then he had a knee surgery so recently that actually is incredible. And then obviously England losing was heartbreak. But you know what? They did well to get to the final. Very average playing up to that point, and just sad to see Gareth go.
So we had, the Euros final, Wimbledon final. What has been one of the most iconic sporting events that you've been to?
The Champions League final when Chelsea won.
Oh,
In Munich.
yeah.
I was there. I was also there for the semi-final in Barcelona and at Chelsea for the other leg. And it was amazing. And on the way here, my 4-year-old insisted on listening to It's Coming Home, the Three Lions, whatever, like on repeat for an hour. And I was really emotional about it, thinking about it for the players, the team, for the country. And I remember that other feeling when you win is just so good. And that would have been my greatest.
But what I first want to talk about are children growing up and having kids, ultimately. Was that always something that you wanted?
Absolutely. I'm very maternal, always have been. I've got 3 children, a 7-year-old, a 4-year-old, and an 8-month-old who was going to be here. That's what you were alluding to. But then my husband kindly thought, I'll just take them all 3 and give you a break. Yeah, I'm very maternal. I'm a very passionate, committed, attentive mother. I'm not, I think the term is like attachment parenting, whereby I'm very hands-on. I breastfeed, I like co-sleep. It's a big deal for me, and it's important to me that I'm very present. Obviously, with what I do, that can be tricky.
Yeah.
But there's amazing people on hand always who will hold the baby, take the baby, so I can do things and continue to work.
What was the step up like from 2 to 3?
Easy.
Was it? Once you've had one, once you've learned the ropes, did you feel like that was,
1 is challenging because it's like, what the hell is this?
I'm in charge?
And like, your life's different, but there's 2 of you and baby comes along and you can do everything because there's 2 of you. 1 to 2, that's brutal. That's like, oh God, we have to divide, we have to split. You have 1, I have 1. You now have a minute. 2 to 3, don't even realize. Like, she just comes along, does everything super easy, and you have the other 2 to help. So that's great.
When you first have a child, and I talked about this with someone recently, they're so reliant on parents for getting through those first 18 months, but how much have you enjoyed seeing those personalities come out, almost gaining, I don't want to say independence yet, but kind of having that opportunity to see them grow up?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And also, like, as I said, like, do attachment, i.e. they are with me all the time. Like, everyone I'm with can attest. I've always got a bit, this is very unusual for me to not have a baby on me. But as soon as they are confident enough at 2, 3 to go on their way, then they fly and they don't look back. And I feel like the way I have chosen to do it, I hope sets them up for that confidence and independence. And that's what you want for your children. You want them to be confident and go and explore the world. You don't want them to be like reliant on you. So it's kind of short-term pain, not that it's pain, for, then giving them a lighter opportunity.
So both you and your husband probably have unconventional jobs too, anyone that is probably listening to this. And so I'm curious to ask, what does that look like in terms of flexibility when it comes to, as a parent, in terms of making sure one of you is there, and or if you're both away, what's the situation?
It's a real
But you have to be
struggle.
flexible.
You have to be flexible. It's a team game, parenting, and if you're lucky enough to be with a partner while you do it, like lots of people don't have, and that is a whole world of hard. But I do have a wonderful, supportive, hard husband. So yeah, like today is case in point. I'm here, so he is running around Shoreditch with 3 little people so that we can make this happen. And same goes when he has a gig or he's in the studio late, it's on me. But I know that, he knows that. So, we try not to, tally score, and we just it's a team effort. And sometimes you've got to pull your weight more, and sometimes the other person does, and it will all even out in the wash kind of.
What do you think of organisation when it comes to parenting and parenthood? Or can you not everything can be organised, right?
Okay, this is something that I hate to admit, I'm shit at organisation. I am so bad. I drop the ball all the time.
Right.
I just don't understand how there's these efficient people booking things in. Another good example, it's the summer holidays. Are my kids at camp? No. Did I book camps? No. So I think that far. I just don't think like that. And very last minute, which causes a lot of stress for everyone around me. But that's not one of my strengths, you know? Like when I have like a bill to pay, it's on the day, like the last day. Because I just like, oh yeah, I'll do that. And then I never get there. I'm just a bit, I'm actually not ditzy at all.
You're switched on,
I'm super switched on.
You work for a we're going to talk about presenting.
That is so true.
Yeah, that's it.
I work under pressure better. So I've got lots of time, just like homework and coursework at the school.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing it up front, I was doing it the night before.
Yeah.
And I think I often work better that way. But also like the breastfeeding thing, it's actually because, well, it's not because, but one of the reasons is I'm lazy. I don't want to sterilize bottles. I don't want to measure. I don't want to get up. I just want to, come on. It's just easier for me, you know? So I try and make life easy where you can so that you can put the real energy into the important things that, you know, require it.
What do you think the biggest challenge has been that you face as a parent? And that's a very horrible question.
It's really hard. Oh, that is a hard question. Because it's also like a big privilege to be a parent.
Exactly, yeah.
I really mean that. But it's, you know, you're putting yourself on the back burner for others, which is fine. I don't mean that in a selfish way. Just like, I have to say no to lots. Like, even the fun stuff. I can't just go out easily. Like, there's logistics, there's organization, there's a cost. Like, you know, is it worth it? Everything's a trade-off. And usually, of course, it's worth it to say no. Sometimes you feel like, oh, I would have loved to have done that. Or I want some opportunity that I just can't make work with. But whatever, it's so transient. It's such a small amount of time. And as I keep saying at the moment, like, this isn't my season, if you know what I mean. Like, you can't be in summer every minute. If I'm in winter for a bit or autumn, that's okay. My spring and summer will come.
Yeah, for sure. What's a piece of advice you'd give to a soon-to-be parent? Someone who hasn't got a kid or hasn't had a child before. What would you say to that?
It goes fast. It does go fast. So just try and enjoy it and know it will all come back. The things you feel like you can't have or aren't doing, you'll get them again, you know?
Are you quite good at capturing the moment, or are you taking photos?
You mean like living in the moment?
Yeah.
Yes. I also recently, especially, we went away recently and I was like, I don't want to spend my whole time taking photos. Like, let's just actually also just be in it. Especially for kids, like their memory, you know, like your childhood memories aren't from what you see all the time. It's what you remember. So yeah, I do try to not, I mean, my husband would be like, you're on your phone all the time. But I try not to always have a camera in anyone's face because that's annoying. Although my little one already is quite aware to like.
Oh, really? Catches the lens.
God, yeah. And my middle one, even just now getting a coffee, take a picture. I'm like, oh God, we got to tone this down. But because he wants to be in it, because he knows it's like a thing. I'm like, oh God, okay. So yes, we definitely take pictures, but you know, it's what century we're in, everyone does.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think then they're kind of, because you're so outgoing, you've got such a great personality, is it clear to see that they spend time with you? So it's kind of, you can see both your personality and of course your husband's in them? Yeah,
so my husband's actually really laid back, not in the light, you know, he doesn't put himself forward as I'm like, I'm here. My kids are, I'd say they're very confident with adults. They would have a chat. If you ask them a question, they will, you know what I mean?
Eye contact.
Yeah, they're very but they're not, I was very shy as a kid. So it was only in later teenage life that I then kind of came out my shell. So, but they're not shy, but they definitely would talk to adults nicely. And yeah, I'm proud of them. And I know that if I went to the library yesterday, it's quite a nice activity. And they were like chatting to the librarian, she was asking questions and they were responding. And I was like, oh, this is very nice to see, but I don't need to answer for them or go on, yeah, you know?
For sure.
So I'm not sure what your question was, but yeah.
That's all right. And something that's really important that, as we kind of suggested, is parenting is almost a full-time job, right? So when it comes to kind of what Headstrong is about, and then where do you find time for yourself? Like, where do you put yourself first? Because it can be probably on the brink of burnout nearly all the time, right?
Okay, first of all, I think it's very important and obviously your podcast is all about this, like I get frazzled all the time and I get overwhelmed all the time, mainly with the bickering, the fighting, the spilling. And I'm just like, I work out. That for me is really important. And that's not going to the gym. That is, I mean, it is, but at home, you know, like a workout space. I have free weights. I have YouTube, and that's how I work out. And that is essential for my mental well-being. And normally it is 20 minutes. That's all I can kind of manage if they're all at home, which they are, because they're a baby. But if I get that in, I feel I can, it just, obviously we all know how important it is, but it does make the difference. I also swear by ice baths. I was doing it every day before I got pregnant, and a bit when I was pregnant because I didn't know, but actually you can. It's one of those things like marathon running. If you do it before, you can keep going. You just shouldn't start it. Ice baths are amazing.
Yes.
They really work. And like, yeah, I know it's a thing and it's all a bit trendy. It's all a bit neat, but it works. And because every time I get in that thing, I'm like, oh, I can do this. I can send that email. I can have that hard conversation. I can handle a 4-year-old drawing on the wall. You know, whatever it is, you can do it because you've put yourself in a hard situation. So put on the cold shower, but do it. It really.
Is that how you started your ice baths? No? Did you just go, screw it, let's do
I
this?
actually thought cold showers were disgusting. Like, why would you ruin your gorgeous shower time with a cold shower? Like, the shower's the nice bit, isn't it? It's like, after the day. So I'm like, why would I ruin it? But in the morning when I wake up, sometimes I will just get in for the cold shower if I know I can't do an ice bath, just to get me awake, get me going. It really works. Like, it works.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's all the stats and all the data and all the research, but it does work.
What about kind of maintaining the other side of it, so the romantic relationship? Because in parenting, you're going to be looking after the kids all the time, and the reason that all this started is because of your husband, right? So how do you make sure that you find time for each other? Date nights or going away together and giving the kids somewhere else?
Okay, so I've never left my children. This is weird. Like, I'm not saying this like in a, oh, look at, this is like, why have we not? But we just haven't. I've never been away from both of us been away. We've both been away for work and to give birth. But other than that, we've never left them, which is crazy. But we are good on daytime dates because of our jobs. He's obviously more of a night owl because he's a producer and in music and DJs. So nights are a bit off limits. But in the daytime, we could go for lunch and a walk.
Nice.
I think it's really important to reconnect with your spouse or partner because they take everything from you, and you give all your love and kindness and patience to them, and then you could just
they get the short straw sometimes.
Really important, and it's hard. And anyone having a baby to save a relationship, it won't work. They are the biggest, the most wonderful bit, but it's hard. You're tired. You're just so tired. But by number 3, we figured it out. Number 1, you're like. Number 2, you're a bit better. And number 3, it's like, oh yeah, I get it.
We've done this.
I see you need a nap. Go. I will deal with this. Or like, why don't you have a break? I'll take them, you know?
Yeah, but and also it's so important to not be doing the tallying side of that as well. Because
I did it last night. I feel really guilty. Because it was not, I just said it and it wasn't even real. I was like, oh, you've been here for 3 minutes today. He's like, was that true? And also, am I helping you tomorrow? And also, you know, I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I retract that comment. I was just annoyed because they were fighting in the bath again and it was annoying me, but that had nothing to do with you just walking in at that minute. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've got to check yourself, basically.
For sure.
So yeah.
So was it during pregnancy that you felt your less? Because particularly, and I know that she won't mind me talking about it with Louise Thompson, you know, and all the postnatal, her experiences in depression. Did you ever experience anything like that?
Not post.
No.
As soon as the baby is out, I feel my best version again. But I think that is a hormonal thing. When I'm pregnant, I hate my body. I can appreciate it and I'm grateful for what it's giving me, but I feel uncomfortable in my skin. I have no energy. I'm very high energy, as you can see. I've got none of it. I just feel sick and gross and heartburn and tired and pain. It's just like, ugh. So literally I'm like, feel like a new woman every time I give birth. So I like look forward to birth because I know what's coming. I feel good again. And I just don't want to do it. And also it's hard on your body. Excuse me. And I can't be bothered to like lose all.
Yeah.
We've done it. I've got 3 beautiful, healthy children. Let's move on.
For you, I know how much you do love exercise and how important it is for you, but something that a lot of mothers are very anxious about, I suppose, after is their own body after childbirth.
Yeah.
So what's that like? What is and has that experience been like for you, kind of wanting that body back, so to speak? Because I imagine that's what people always do, is compare what they were like before, right?
Yeah. Well,
but it's impossible.
My body post even my first was better than before. That makes sense. Like, also, like, I train differently now. I'm all weights, don't do any of the other stuff. And like the hormone reset, I think helped me personally. Because when you kind of have a baby, you go back to zero again, everything's back in balance. I think you should use exercise personally for the mental benefit that it will give you. And it does re-energize me. If I've had a brutal night and no sleep, even though you feel like I just want to sit on the couch, actually 20 minutes to get the endorphins pumping and the blood circulating gives me the energy for the day, even though that feels counterintuitive. Obviously, if you're absolutely battered, don't push yourself. But even if it's gentle, or going for a long walk or something, that helps me out for the day. And obviously then the side product is your body gets back into shape. But if you're just doing it for the body, and it's like, it's too much. Like, I'm feeding a human at this point. I have to carry a human and nourish a human and not get snappy at other humans. Like, you can't be this militant, strict, obsessed with your body kind of person. But look, breastfeeding helps. It gets you back much quicker. That's another lovely pro. That's not why I do it again, but it is all built up to get you back to being strong. And I think if you focus on strength to be fun and play and move and, active, and hopefully the reward will be just in the kind of how you look as well.
Yeah, for sure. Let's take this opportunity to rewind then. We've talked about parenthood and your children, but what about what you would like as a child then? So, but when did that change?
I can tell you exactly when that changed.
Go on.
Okay, I went on a residential summer camp. I'd been a couple of years and that was fine. And then 1 year, I was really shy, and it was, boys and girls. And we were having the camp photo, and we were all, there were like, I don't know how many, it felt like hundreds, but who knows, all sat there. And I was in the front row on the grass, and then there was rows behind me. And the boys behind me who were like, been on the camp for years, so they were kind of like the camp. They ran that.
Yeah,
camp,
yeah.
whatever. It was like my first or second year, I don't know. They were picking up grass and putting it on my head. Like in the picture, like mucking about. We were like 13, 14, sure. I don't know. And I didn't have the confidence to tell them to stop. And I remember thinking, this is ridiculous. Like, it was like a real moment where I was like, just speak up for yourself. Like, they're putting grass on your head and you don't have the balls to say, can you stop that? I was literally just like knocking off the grass, like shyly. And I thought, this has to stop. And from then, I decided I'm just going to be outgoing. Like, I'm just going to speak.
Wow.
It was, I know it sounds like really weird, but it was it's like, how can you just sit there and let them put grass on your hair and not even call them out or turn around and be like, can you stop that? Or like, leave me alone. I just didn't. So that was when weird.
Because there's such a fine line, not even nowadays, just in general, of what just a bit of playful banter is and what bullying is, right? What was your experience with that? Like, where would you put that now? If that was happening to your child, what would you say?
It was silly.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I was a child. I just happened to be in front of them. It wasn't like on this camp I was singled out. It was none of that. And also time is different. I mean, now we probably be like, hang on a second.
Yeah.
Whereas back then everyone was a bit like, honestly, no, it was just like a weird moment, and they were all like confident and like, boys will be boys, but not that. But they were all like buoyed on by each other. Sure. But yeah, it wasn't like I was not bullied or anything.
And this personality has lent itself greatly to getting into the world of TV and presenting, right? And I'm going to work through this chronologically, so we will come to the latest venture, so to speak.
That's fine.
But how did you get into TV? Was it always something you wanted to do?
So I went to UCLA and only for a year sandwich course I went to Birmingham, and then I did American studies, so I went to UCLA. But before that, the summer before university, it was one of the Live Aid. Do you remember Live Aid did another big concert?
Okay.
I guess it was in like 2003.
For sure.
Or something. Anyway. And I knew someone who was doing the merchandise. So he was like, do you want to come down for the day and help out and work there? I was like, yeah. And they put me on the backstage VIP bracelets booth.
Sure.
So if you were coming into Live 8, you had to come to me. I'd be like, oh, there you are, Will Ferrell. Here's your wristband. It was like the coolest job. And this guy runs in, he's like, I need a band. I'm Madonna's record label, agent, whatever, label. And I was like, what's your name? It wasn't on the list. I was like, I'm really sorry, you're not on the list. He's like, I look after Madonna. I'm at Warner Brothers. I need a band. And I was like, I'm not supposed to give them out. And I was like, I'll tell you what, give me your card. Please give me work experience. I'm going to email you. And if you do, I will give you, if you promise me, I'll give you a band. He's like, yeah, email me. Fine, here. So I emailed him the next day like, hiya, I'm the girl. So he honoured it and gave me work experience at Warner Brothers Records. Then I went to UCLA. Now, the only reason I got to UCLA is because I don't be watching anyone from University of Birmingham, but I said, I have to go to UCLA. I can't go to like Ohio State. I have to go to UCLA because I've already set up an internship at Warner Brothers Records, which I hadn't. But then when I was at UCLA, I said, hi, I worked in your London office at Warner Brothers Records. Please can I come and do a proper internship? And then I made that part of my course. I actually got like credit to go to Warner Brothers. When I was at Warner Brothers Records, I was an intern, and they weren't giving me loads to do, but the fun stuff was amazing. Album launches, parties, all of that. And then the boring stuff was quite dry. I thought, I want to be the thing. I don't want to necessarily work behind the thing. I want to be the thing, but I'm not musical. What could that be? And I'm not an actor like yourself. So I was like, I'll be a presenter. And I just decided that's what I would do.
Nice.
Anyway, then after university, I decided, I'll do presenting. My parents had an art gallery, and one of their artists was showing at London Fashion Week. So they were like, do you want to go represent the gallery at London Fashion Week? And I was like, yep. So off I went, and someone came interested in art. He was like, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a presenter. He was like, oh, that's funny. We do all the production for London Fashion Week. Would you like to come down and try it out? I was like, yep. Next day, there I am. And then I worked for that company for about 4 or 5 years.
Awesome.
And during that time, I got an agent, and then they sent my reel to Sky. And I thought, I just want to try out live TV behind a desk scenario. How fun would that be? And they said, we'd like to see me. So I was like, go on then, let's just do it.
Yeah.
And I got the job.
Awesome.
Which, that sounds so easy. I also went for
but it's a journey.
So many castings and got rejected of things I really wanted.
Yeah, I mean, but you've summarised that because we're on a podcast, right? And but it's not an easy journey by any stretch. And also just getting an agent is such a process, right? What about though going into that first live TV session? Were you nervous, anxious, or were you kind of cool, calm, collected?
For the casting or for the
the casting was live anyway?
It wasn't live, no.
Right.
That was like it was like a
first kind of once you got the gig.
Oh, my first ever. Yeah. Oh my God, I remember it so well.
Go on.
They only let after 6 months of training. It wasn't like, oh,
they don't just chuck you in.
No. And also only when they really felt you're ready, and you get an hour. 1 hour. Normally it's
to prove yourself?
No,
sorry.
They ease you in. And it's like 10 to 11 hour in the week, which is before presses, it's all very strategic when you're allowed to let loose.
Giving you the best possible opportunity, right?
Absolutely, and you're with one of the oldest, most safest pros next to you. Literally, you could say nothing and it would be a seamless show. And I just remember it so much because I was like in this red dress, the Sky, and then I put you in these like corporate dresses and like hair all like this, and I just remember that in my ear, like, just try and relax and sit back a bit. You look a little bit nervous, which obviously makes you more nervous.
Yeah, it's like
someone
great.
being like,
not like everyone's watching.
Yeah, try not to be nervous, and literally like, oh, okay, great. Now I look even more nervous. But it was like totally fine. But also, I knew the script. I'd read through it 1,000 times. Even though it's live, there was nothing I was going to do that was breaking news or that was changeable. It was like, now your story, Olivia, which you've read before. And it was fine. And then, but once, like everything, once you're up and running, that's your first ever podcast.
Exactly, you just boss it, right?
Yeah, you're off.
Yeah. What about that routine though, like as a presenter? Because, there are days where you're getting up at 3 a.m. and you're going in. How do you maintain your kind of personal life when you've got this crazy schedule and routine that kind of sees you doing unconventional hours?
It's hard. I missed a lot of like birthdays or, look, I was the breakfast show mainly. So that was great in that if it was someone's big event, I could go for a bit and have a few hours sleep and then, but my husband, as I said, is a DJ. And at that time he was in every London nightclub every night DJing. And it would literally be like, he would pull up. So for a time we shared a car. He'd pull up outside the door I'd get in the driver's seat, he'd go to bed, and I'd go off to work.
Wow.
And we really, but that our in professions lent themselves really well to having a good relationship, because by the time I got home at 11 a.m., he'd be waking up. That's when we'd hang. And then I'd go to bed and he'd go on to work. You know what I mean? So actually it worked really well. Had he been in like a 9 to 5, it would have been very hard to have, I wouldn't be able to go out for dinners and all that stuff all the time. So it worked really well. But it was quite brutal. Like, I'm very good at existing on not much sleep.
What is, I mean, you must be bored of this question. What's the biggest live blooper that you've experienced? Not necessarily yourself.
No, I mean, I've done my... Well, first of all, I like a blooper. If you're like, panic fear, that's awkward for a viewer.
People like a laugh, and like the one that's obviously the most iconic is Chris Kamara, where it's just like, what's that, Jeff? Like, looking back.
Like, it's funny, and also it's warm. It's like, you like that. I'm not saying you should aim to do it, but if you're a robot and you're perfect, it's just boring, to be honest. I did say all the shit once rather than all the shot. It's not the worst, but they pick up on it.
I live near there.
Yeah, do you? For me, it was more pronunciations, and swear words. It's not that you're trying to swear, but some words come out and sound like it. I can't remember it, truly.
No,
it's so weird how much I don't remember. I have a very good memory for like random things, but not general, if you know what I mean. But anyway. Oh, and then I once pronounced Kilmarnock. It just fell out wrong. Like I said Kilmarnock or something. And it's not that I thought it was that. It just fell out wrong. And, that was before Insta, but the abuse on Twitter.
Oh, God.
Like, calm down. Like, who cares?
Come on, get on with it.
Yeah, exactly.
What about when you became pregnant then, with this same schedule and life? Because you've talked about how, you weren't necessarily firing at your best when you were pregnant. So how challenging was that?
I was just tired.
Yeah.
And also 3 a.m. starts.
When you're pregnant, it's just like...
tired. But then it's just me. So I would go home and have a nap.
Yeah.
I could do yoga and what. So it was fine. And I worked out and I tried to be very healthy with it. But yeah, you're just like, just sleepy. But also then there's press things and PR things and events, and you're trying to work and you do other work on the side. So it's just, freelance life is like, you can't say no. So you're saying yes to everything. But yeah, it was fine.
What piece of advice would you give to somebody looking to get into television?
I feel like it's changed. So I feel like you could just have a great Insta channel, be an influence. Do you know what I mean?
I know.
Like, and
there's so many different routes now, isn't it?
Yeah, like I should ask the same question. Like, I don't know. It's really, I feel like the opportunity is there. Get great TikTok channel going, get great YouTube channel going, and actually you'll be seen.
Yeah.
But also, it is a skill, and I think it looks so easy, but you do have to, it's the swan theory. You have to make it look so easy when actually all hell is breaking loose, especially in live television. Cameras can go down, lights go down, auto cues go on, we lost that guy, and you just got to keep it seamless and like nothing's going wrong. So it's not as easy as it looks. If it looks easy, that means that person's doing it really well.
From professional to personal then, we've talked about your husband in terms of the support he does, but when you first met him, you were kids. I mean, at the age of 13, right? And that's amazing, the fact that friendship is the foundation and pillar of what your relationship is, right? How important is that, and not rushing a relationship?
Well, we were friends, and since 13, but we only got together actually at 24. It wasn't like, let's hold off till It just wasn't like that. I mean, I always thought it was good looking. And we always kind of, we got on, but we weren't, and I didn't ever look at him like that until that one night when I was like, actually. But it's important. But that also means like when we got together, I knew everything about him. I knew all his exes, all his stories, all his everything. So it got very serious instantly.
Sure.
It was almost like the last piece. Like we hung out, we knew everything.
Yeah.
So, but I think it is really important. And but also the people we were then to now, it's like we have really grown up together, which is really nice.
Yeah, and so he's seen you through all this journey through Sky Sports, and then also now into Buying London on Netflix.
Buying London.
Okay, how do you reflect on that? What's your experience like? Are you obviously, of course, I believe you're proud of it and happy to have done it.
It was a really fun,
Different experience.
very different, and I found it hard because I am used to cameras are on, be on, and they were like, "Ooh, okay, could you stop like referencing the? I'm doing it now. I can't help it. If I see a camera, I'm like looking to it.
Yeah.
And they're like, just ignore us and don't turn it on. Just be you. I'm like, oh, I'm not used to that. I'm used to kind of presenting a style or persona that the product requires. So after a few days, I got into it. It was a lot of logistical stress, truthfully, on all of us, because I would find out at 11 p.m. what I'm doing the next day. Obviously, you said you're friends with Rosie, and she did Made in Chelsea, and she was more aware of how this rolled. I wasn't. And I'm used to your schedule, and when you're on at 9, you are on at 9, not 9:01 and not 8:59. And they'd be like, be here for 7:40. I'd do everything to get there, and then we wouldn't start till 10.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I literally had to like move heaven and earth to make this work, and it really found it mentally challenging. But I tried to just lean into the process. This is how it is, kind of thing. It's a fun, entertaining show. It's, there was some criticism, like cost of living, we know, and that is a terrible state of affairs that the world is in, but that wasn't what this was supposed to be. It was supposed to show the other side and be respite and escapism for people. And I hope it is that for people, and they can take it for what it is, an entertaining show. And I, again, felt I was painted a little bit two-dimensionally in that you don't know I have a family, you don't know that I'm married, you don't know that what my career was before. So it's a bit like, why is this girl here? And why does she just turn up for dinners? But you know what? The editorial choice is that of the producers, and you just got to be okay with it and know it's all meant for the good of the show.
What about kind of, as you said there, kind of the stress of that scenario? How long was the shoot?
It was 2.5 months, Monday to Friday.
With a young family, when you're getting that kind of last minute email, you need to be here then, the strain and
also a
stress.
Pick up, drop off, who's doing that? Where are you going to be? Who's going to do bedtime? And also, he also works. It's not like, great, everyone else down tools for 2.5 months, so I get, do you know what I mean? So it was a lot. And then we did some reshooting when I was just pregnant as well. Not my favorite time. And literally the office scenes we had to reshoot. And off camera you don't see, but I'm sat at the desk, literally like salt and vinegar crisp, just like, and I'd be like, could we break for a minute? You know what I mean? It was just, but it was an amazing experience, the Netflix show, and also you've got to try things. You've got to do it. But I really like presenting. I like talking to people. I prefer this world.
Sure. How did that opportunity come about though? Because you have done this presenting, and it's one of those things, yes, it's reality, but it is presenting in a way, just not the down the lens kind of thing, right?
Well, yes and no. I mean, the storylines are real.
Yeah.
And so it's not like...
No, it's not.
But, it's not scripted or anything, but it's also... It's just you being you. It's not you delivering info, it's you just chatting. It came to me because Daniel, who owns DDRE, messaged me before any of this, because he did want me, and I do work for DDRE, but not in the capacity they've shown me in the show, where I actually interview the agents, interview architects, planners, developers about properties, because he loves Sky Sports and he wanted to make a kind of property style channel news forum. So he asked me if I would do that, of which I said yes. And then the show happened and I was involved with him and the company.
What do you think of the future there? Do you want to maintain not only your role there, but do you think Netflix will come knocking again? Has that been actually recommissioned? I don't know.
Know anything yet.
No one knows.
I am open always to
opportunity.
Yeah,
right?
Why not? If it feels fun, go for it. And if it feels like it could be great, go for it. But let's see. I'm definitely open to hearing all and exploring all options. And yeah, if there's a second series, great, let's do it.
Is there anything you would kind of change, let's say second time round, in terms of looking after yourself? Because all that stress and concern, I know that, as you say, kids, you've got to be flexible and But
to be honest, you can't, like, you think you will, and
Yeah.
it's like, what are you going to do?
Just get on with it.
Yeah, also get on with it. Listen, what a wonderful privileged job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, that's also it. Like, this ain't hard work, you know? And I'm not for a second suggesting, like, whoa, with me, it was so hard. Like, no, it was annoying, but I'm not down the line. Like, I'm fine. No. And that's also with, like, Sky, when I used to make mistakes. It's not brain surgery. It's okay. It's TV.
Yeah.
Like, it's all right.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important to just stay grounded and level. Like, let's not make it more than it is here, you know?
So amongst all of this, there's this kind of public eye, and that can often put huge pressures on people. And also, naturally, there's, you know, it's particularly at the height of when Twitter was, you know, all these ludicrous comments, people can say all this shit, right? So what about you and mental health? Like, when did you first become aware of your own mental health?
So I suffered from depression during university. Actually, after, I mean, it won't shock you when you zoom out as to why, but I was at UCLA, living the life, and I came back for my final year to Birmingham. No disrespect, Birmingham, but it was a bit of a hard crash down back to reality. And at that time, I broke up from I guess a serious relationship at the time, although now it wasn't even serious. But, you know, all these things compounded. I just was in a funk, you know? And
can you remember kind of your response to that? What did you do? Were you looking for your support network? Did you go to therapy? What's your relationship with that?
First of all, I went home from uni.
That's what you needed. You wanted comfort.
Yeah, I just wanted to be, and also because it was my last year, all my friends, like my best friends, had graduated. They didn't do the 4-year course, so it was like the people on my course were very nice, but they weren't my people. So I just felt a bit like I've got no one here, and I need a cry and a cuddle, and I need someone to cuddle me. So I went home, and I vividly remember getting into my parents' bed, and bear in mind I'm like 20 whatever, and my dad saying, she's depressed. She needs to go to the doctor. I'm not depressed. He's like, let's just see what's happening here. This isn't kind of your normal behavior. I think we need to go, you know. Anyway, so I did go to the GP, and they put me on antidepressants. And then I got with Zeb like a couple of months later, and literally instantly he was like, I think you should come off these things. And I felt like, yeah, actually, I don't need them anymore. It was like, it felt like I needed help, but actually I needed probably more the support, the people and the love more than the pill.
Yeah. It's so good though that you are able to talk about it though, because
I can't bear it when people don't.
I mean, we shouldn't rely on medication first and foremost, right? You need to work on yourself to do whatever is possible. But I don't know why on earth there's still this stigma behind medication, particularly when it comes to, you know, as you say, depression, mental health.
However, actually, but had I have been more of the way of thinking I am now, which is to take responsibility for what's going on in me first, maybe I would have actually done what at that time we weren't into. I can't explain how different the world feels a decade or more on. Exercise wasn't like it is now. Yeah. Even knowing all these, there weren't podcasts, meditation, journaling. I'm sure it existed, but in a really low-key way. Now it's like you can't move for finding other ways to help yourself. What you're doing, this didn't exist. Had it have existed, maybe I would have listened and thought, oh, okay, come on, go for a walk, do something, you know? So they put me on, like willingly took it, but then actually maybe just I should have looked after myself more as well. But yes, I'm not
just self-love.
Yeah,
right?
and I'm not against it because obviously some people you do need it, but it doesn't need to be your first port of call
Should not,
as well.
no.
Yeah.
But now, as you said there, exercise is so hugely important for you, but the ice baths in the morning, you do journal.
I actually don't. I
want
to. For a bit I did.
Yeah, that's what,
Why? Did I write that?
Yeah.
Where?
Door.
No, tell me. I go through phases.
Yeah.
Right now I'm not in a phase, and in the year was every day. You know, I'm a bit hit and miss, to be honest.
And something that's married to your kind of passion and need to exercise is also how much you like nutrition, right?
Yes.
You eat well, because that ultimately, so much research recently as well shows.
Gut health I'm big on. I've been on that for a while. Like, I really believe, a bit like, I don't like taking medicine. I just don't, I'm like, hang on, if I'm sick, rather than mask it, let's get to the root of it. Hence why this cough that I've got, I could just go get cough medicine. What's that going to, it's going to like numb it, but I'm not going to understand why or see if I'm actually improving of its own accord. So yes, I'm taking more vitamin C, I'm doing, more Manuka, whatever, but I really believe it's like your responsibility to look after your own health and not just stick a plaster on it kind of thing.
Yeah, I think, like a face it head on. Do you know what I mean?
Also, look, my father died of cancer. He actually 6 years tomorrow, and he wasn't a healthy guy. And I'm not saying that is why, but even, I think, unfortunately, I believe, I'm no doctor, this is all but like illness and disease starts, the gut is so important. You've got to look after it because it affects your mind and your kind of physical well-being. So I really believe in look, I like a drink, I like a sweet treat. Obviously, I'm not holier than thou with it, but I really try to remember it's so important. And if I'm even feeling low mentally, good nutrition can help that.
Well, it's so easy nowadays to go, just get a takeaway, get this, because it's the easy option, it's the easy way out.
Get in the bag, it's like sugars everywhere as well. And you feel good in the second and then you feel worse. And it's really hard to break the cycle. Like, I'm a full-on sugar addict. I literally had a switch the other day where I was like, I'm just going to stop because actually it doesn't make me feel good.
Yeah.
Afterwards, I feel worse. And I mean, I'm like day 3, so get back to me. But, it's like that. And then we go again, And also that whole moderation thing, for me, I can't do sugar in moderation.
Yeah, I'm the same.
So I've got to be a bit strict.
I've got a hugely addictive personality when it comes to that. I'm just like, that's it.
Give me a fizzy bootlace.
Yeah.
Oh, I love a fizzy hat.
Are there any foods that your children are refusing? Like, absolutely not touch? Really?
They're really bad eaters. Really? Yeah, not bad eaters. Small pool of options.
Really? Is it all beige?
They eat carrots, apples, strawberry. But that's
Fine.
it. Yeah, but I'm like, why don't you try this delicious nectarine? No. An orange? No. It's like the things they eat, they'll eat. But other than that, it's really hard. When we were on holiday, breakfast buffet, I was like, right.
Yes.
I'm going to get you each a different type of egg, fried, scrambled, boiled. Just have one bite of each and tell me and they were literally, it was like under duress, like swallowing this thing down. I'm like, I would choose to eat all of this. Like, it's so mad to me. But of course, in time, I'm sure they'll be eating all the things and you can't stress about it.
No.
Too much pressure on it makes it worse.
Also, exactly. Well, I mean, what's the point as
well?
The point?
You can't the things you can't control are what a kid puts in their mouth.
So one thing that I forgot to actually discuss, I don't know, I clearly have not edited very well my own questions, but the question is still related to mental health. But one of the things I do, I don't want to say a lot, but I find it's such a good way of getting stuff off my chest, is crying. Right? How often do you cry?
All the time.
Yeah.
At least once a day.
I just think it's such a good outlet of emotion. And then actually, do you know what? I'm just like, okay, I feel better. I'm
a big need to release it, kind of.
Sure.
I'm a huge empath as well. And I'm but as in I feel every energy. And I know when I'm giving off bad energy and I find it hard to, I almost need to I got to reset myself. I know I'm doing it. When you're in a bad mood and I'm just stop and I can't. And so if I walk in a room and someone's a bit with me, I'm suddenly I'm and isn't really a word, but you know what I mean? I really reflect it back as well. So often I need to release it all and I cry. Or see me in this room, a sweat. Jesus, it's hot enough.
When was the last time you cried?
Literally today. I told you, when in the car, I was feeling so emotional about the England team losing and Gareth Southgate and how he tried so hard. And also, I have a lot going on in my personal life with a friend who's unfortunately suffering and nearing his end of his life. And so it brings it all up and how lucky we are and how sad it is. And I just think you've got to release it. I also think if you don't let stuff out, it festers in, and then that's when you get also problems.
I'm really sorry to hear that, firstly. I've really, really enjoyed having you on. Thank you. What is the goal at the moment, though, in terms of what the future looks like? Or are you just happy to ride the wave?
I'm happy to ride the wave, but I always need to know what's the next thing I'm doing. I want to get excited. I want to get focused. I want to get working. I love working and doing this type of thing. But it's summer, so I'm trying to take a minute, enjoy the show that just came out. And then see what happens, but always hustling. Got to keep moving.
And my final question that I ask every guest is, what does the word headstrong mean to you?
Well, for me, I'm like focused, determined, but actually I think it, with a tiny bit of reflection, means staying in your own lane. You know, keeping your head strong and focused and clear. Put the blinkers up. Don't be comparing and looking and stressing. Just you do you. You do you well, and just be good, be kind. Yeah.
Love it. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed it. And
Do we?
yes, there you go. That's all right.
Yay!
Woo.